Hey, it's Drybear. And the hot new patch for the First Descendant has landed in the game and is available now, so let's dive into what's different now in the First Descendant. The first thing to make sure people know about is the new event in-game. So always check your events, always make sure you're paying attention to these. The event where you're getting a free equipment slot every single day is gone. However, we still have the 14-day login. You have 20 days left on this, so make sure you're getting this full list so you can get either Ultimate Bunny, or my recommendation would be to get the 2 Haley skins in that box. But they've also added in the Albion Special Dispatch. This is 28 days of rewards with a total time of 35 days in total. Again, you don't need to be consecutive with this, but since there's only like an extra give of like 7 days, try to make sure you're logging in every day because there are some cool things in here. You get a whole bunch of dyes, some like catalysts, blueprints, some full catalysts, a whole bunch of materials, a bunch of gold. And they also have this item, which I'm pretty sure is new, unless it's in that paint box, rainbow paint selection box. I think they need to do more of these, mainly because I think their paint system is a little outdated. Having to farm a consumable that's permanently consumed for every single color in the game, rather than doing, like a paint swath set or a hue saturation slider or like a color selector, or, being able to change the value of the color manually. Having this kind of archaic system, I think the selector boxes help make that feel a lot better. You get a whole bunch of crafting materials as well. And then the last one at the end is a natural blonde braids hairstyle for Serena. So this is a free hairstyle for Serena that you get at the end, on top of a free emote as well. I believe there's even more of those over here. It looks like there's a blue beetle and cavalry gun weapon skin, along with even more catalysts. So you want to be logging in every day until this and the Beyond Sigma Sector login bonuses are done. And yes, the day has come that the people have been asking for this for a very long time. The expansion of the laws of physics in TFD is finally here. So yes, this is in here. I was actually kind of disappointed that Sharon is affected by these forces, considering even like you can even see like these lines here. Like this is very obviously like a cybernetic thing. But yeah, I mean, if this is your jam, then we've got toast for you. You can do it. It's all there. Now, if you're curious, they did add an amount for this inside of the options menu. So if you go to menu, you go to options, and then go to gameplay. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there is a dynamic motion level option here. So you can do weak, medium, strong, or off if you don't want it on at all. And again, this only affects the female descendants in the game. There is no commence to jiggling for the men. And you have these 3 settings here. It does default to medium, and you can set it to strong if you want. You can set it to weak, or you can just turn it off if you don't care about it. The next big thing that got added is the extension to the arcade tuning system, which we knew was coming and has been kind of speculated on how it works, but we now have the system in game so we can rip it apart. So if you go to your arcade tuning board for any of your descendant groups, you'll notice that there are these new corners on the outside, right? So they added these 6 new slots that take you out to the very corner of the map. These will have different stats like general, rounds, which is really cool. So you can get like rounds increase. You can get firearm over here. There's more skill power and more mana. There is electric resistance, HP. So the resistance is kind of useless, but HP and defense is kind of nice. Then there's more defense, and then some shield over here as well. So what you'll need to do is you will need to go out to the corner here and then actually open one of these slots to gain access to the brand new Mutant Cells. So right here, you can see if I get all the way up here, I can activate this. And then what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to click on it and unlock it. In order to unlock it, you need the new materials from Sigma Sector. So 3 new things drop from Sigma Sector as of now that you will need in order to interact with this system. So running Sigma Sector will give you guaranteed some fission accelerant. You need 100 fission accelerant in order to access those, to activate one of those nodes in the corner of your arcade tuning. I was getting about 6 per run, so you would probably expect about 12 to 15 Sigma Sector runs to unlock a single slot. kind of intense and quite a lot of grind there for the Sigma Sector, but that seems to be at least my experience on the drop rate. You can let me know what yours is. And then you also get the Arc Genetic Scissors, and this allows you to remove a mutant cell that's already in the slot that you don't want destroyed, because by default replacing them destroys the mutant cell in that slot. The last item you will get from Sigma Sector is these spoils boxes. These seem to have a very low drop rate, like 5% is what I'm hearing, so very low. You're not going to see these very often, but what's great about it is a selector box, so you'll be able to go through all of the 27 mutant cells that exist in the game right now, and you'll be able to select the one you want, accept it, and then you'll be able to slot it into that slot for the new arcade tuning system. However, if you're curious, you can look at all of the mutant cells by going to the library where everything in the game is. They added this new box here for Mutant Cells, which looks like a, I don't know, Saturn. You click on this and you can actually view them all in here. The next thing to note about this is that these cells have a socket type. So the cell slot on your arcade tuning board, as well as the mutant cell itself, has a type associated with it, an actual socket type. This one is kind of an interesting choice. I feel like it probably is a net negative. So you can see like this is equipable socket rutile, this is cerulean, this is almandine, and this is M for malachite. However, because of that, you may end up having a build, and in this, maybe they thought this through. I haven't looked at all the cells yet, but you can maybe you have like you need like mana, or maybe you need firearm, but then the mutant cell that you need for this build happens to be an almandine, which means you're spending all your points getting up into this corner, but then there are no rutiles that you need for that corner. I don't know, like it seems like an extra step. It feeds into the existing system, I guess, so at least there's some consistency there. What's even more confusing is they actually changed the socket type per descendant groups. You can see that Valby has an M in the top right corner, then it's R in the top left and C in the bottom left. But if we switch to a different descendant, like if we go over to Glay real quick and go back to arcade tuning, hers is M in the top right, and then A in the top left, X in the bottom left, and then R in the bottom right. However, the cells themselves don't change, right? These are fixed items that have their own existence in the world. They stay the same, right? So a non-attribute skill power is under M, electric skill power is under R. You can get, I mean, they all have skill power. Toxic skill power is under X. So you kind of have to just figure out by descendant whether the slot that you're looking for is in the right place. And also, I haven't run through every possible combination yet, but it does seem like it's very possible that if you're running like, say, a firearm descendant, you may get the wrong socket that you're looking for your build near where you're spending points, and what you're looking for might end up being on the complete opposite side of the arcade tuning board, which means the mutant cell that you're looking for isn't really accessible unless you completely gut your arcade tuning build. So like, this is a very strange choice to include sockets here and then force those and then change their location constantly. I guess because they're different, it does allow them to be able to buff and nerf independently, so they feel like, you know, like certain descendants need a certain socket in the right place. Maybe they'll be able to go up there and grab that. But it does seem like you're jumping through a lot of hoops with this system. So just for demonstration, I have this on this water play Valby build I'm working on. We can just do this so you can see it. So we have moved our points over. And this is one of my gripes with the system, is that they didn't increase the number of points that we have for the arcade factor. So in order to get over to these cell slots, you need to be in the area already. And then you need to spend 5 more points to get here. Luckily, these points, the corners don't take a point. So we do get a free point there, but you still have to spend 5 no matter where you are. You need to be at the junction point and spend 5 additional points to get there. So you would need to pull points off from somewhere else in your build in order to get that. Then you have the slot here. Then what you need to do is you need to unlock the slot using the fission accelerant. It takes anywhere from 10 to 15 Sigma runs to get that. We hit confirm, and now the socket is open with the socket type. So we have an M socket for this. We have this open. We can go over to consumable. We can get our box, and then let's grab an M here, which is this one I want, non-attribute cohesion. We click on it, we acquire it, we go back to arcade tuning, we click on this, we have one here available. When they're equipped, it becomes bound to slot and cannot be removed. Okay, so we're gonna click on this, equip, boom. Now we have this bonus going on here, which is when I defeat an enemy, I have a stacking buff of non-attribute skill power. So boom, that's hits in, and now we've got this slotted in. However, again, that did remove the mutant cell, and then in order to replace the mutant cell, you would click on this, and this is where you would overwrite the cell using the new scissors material as a replacement there. You don't have to, you can just destroy the mutant cell if you'd like, but if you want to keep it, you'd have to use a currency to replace it. And another thorn in that system there is you can see that these cells cells are placed down as an individual item that gets consumed for the slot itself only, right? So if I go here, you can see I have this non-attribute cohesion up here. If I go to my next slot, my next setting, like my next preset, if I go back up here, the slot is still open. So you don't have to spend the fission material to open the slot again. Once it's open for that group. However, if I wanted to put something in here, you'll notice that my other presets don't have a cell in this slot. So I would have to go farm another cell of the exact same type if I wanted to use the same cell in 2 different presets. You do need duplicates of it. And with a 5% drop rate on Sigma Sector, that is definitely a challenge to be part of that process, but we would have to earn another one if we wanted to use a different slot. And if we wanted to replace it, we'd have to earn another one and then overwrite the one that's already in that slot with one that matches the sock. And I think the biggest drawback here is just going to be the drop rate for this. You can see already we have completing high risk Sigma Sector is 5% drop rate, and then normal is 2.5%. So you definitely want to be doing almost exclusively high risk if you're able to double that drop rate for these boxes. And of course, you're going to be farming the materials along the way. I do actually feel a little bad for the people that did like all of their RK tuning levels. Like I still have a bunch of Descendants to get max on that I don't really play that much. And I think that that would be like, that would go hand in hand, right? It's like if you're trying, Sigma is the best source for unique RK experience, RK factor experience. So going to level up the RK level of all your Descendants will also just net you a bunch of cells and a bunch of the new currency, which is great. So doing that is going to be a good activity, I think, coincide. But it also kind of feels like they should have launched this system with the Sigma Sector. So people that, I feel bad for the people that like went and like they spent their time leveling up all their RK tuning levels, and then now they're hit with a brand new system that only drops in Sigma Sector, that you have to farm a metric boatload of Sigma Sector to get what you need from it, but they already farmed a boatload of Sigma Sector when the system wasn't implemented. So it feels like this is definitely a rough one, but in some cases you can get some okay power from it. As we've seen from some of these, they go anywhere from 5% to like 20% if it's a stackable to get some extra bonuses, and it could be really nice to be able to get these. The only downside I say from these is that a lot of these are very conditional, like when using a specific buff, when you have a proc that procs and stacks, then it goes on. Some of these go on cooldown, so that once it goes, you have to wait for it to go on cooldown for it. So you have like 50% uptime on it, or you didn't meet the condition on it or something like that. It definitely feels like for the amount of effort we're putting in to get the cells and the amount of effort is required to get the right cell in the right slot on the right preset, it does seem like the overall benefit is quite low, especially combined with the fact that you need to sacrifice at least 5 points, if not more, if it's out of the way. Like if I wanted to get to a rutile slot for this build, you can see it's way more than 5, right? It's not just the 5 points we spend to get here. I now have to reconfigure my build to get all the way over to this side of the tree to reach the rutile slot, which means that in some case like that, it would be out of reach, right? I feel like for a lot of builds, if you're trying to go for a firearm build, going to the opposite corner is going to be unreasonable, because you would lose all of your firearm bonuses, right? And so realistically, if you have a firearm build you're trying to add a mutant cells for, you're kind of fixed with only using the socket type for the mutant cell that fits with what you're already going for. The other 3 are kind of out of the question. And here are the director's comments on this system. The newly adopted RK tuning mutant cell is designed to enhance the battle efficiency of skill dealer, and most of them do have skill-related bonuses or defense-related bonuses. We do recognize there's still a performance gap to firearm dealers. We plan to bridge this gap in a careful and gradual manner rather than hastily rushing to eliminate it. Yeah, I mean, their weapon core system is what broke the game for weapons in general. Mutant cells are first up in news, and we'll continue to add more ways to bring the performance difference closer. Once the gap has been filled to some extent, we'll be adding more mutant cells with a wide range of effects to diversify gameplay styles. So they are promising and committing to adding more to this mutant cell system over time, and they'll probably gather feedback based on how people feel the grind is for it in general, so you maybe end up being able to build on top of it as we go. Next, they added in the new Ice Maiden for the Void Intercept Battle Void Abyss, and for this one they said specifically that they have made this a lot tankier and a lot more damaging than any of the other Void Abyss. I guess they got tired of the Void Abyss bosses being killed in under a second, just being instantly deleted before they even animate in and finish their intro, right? Like they don't even get to finish doing their villain monologue before they get blasted into the stratosphere for that. So this is the newest boss in here. They have added new additions to the reward system for the Void Abyss, which we can't see until ETA 0 is coming into the game later tomorrow. So we'll be able to have that in there for there. And they did say that they added new rewards to it as well. So you can see that they increased the overall HP. HP and shield have been increased higher than Colossus in Void Intercept Battle Abyss. HP and shield multiplier for party entry have been adjusted. So for the single, if you're soloing her, it'll be the normal, a normal non-scaled amount, her base amount of HP and shield. For 2-player, they will reduce the overall value to 1.4 scalar. So basically they increased the base of the boss, but then reduced the scalars that you get when your party size grows, so that doesn't get an exponential effect on top of it. But yeah, they expect her to be a lot harder. I've already seen a 15-second Ice Maiden clear solo, so I guess 15-second versus 1 second. They did bring up the clear time on it in general, but they do have that there. A huge boon for the game in general is they greatly increased the amount of vouchers that you get from Void Abyss. So this one had this is the before and after of the drop rates they changed. So before it used to drop 3 modules, now it'll drop 6, especially with the new, like the Fortress module set that only comes from that. So being able to get more of that is great. The external component amount that drops is 8. So this is more for, not for the modules, the components. So the components going from 8 to 16 is great for the module, for the component that only drops from this. Modules being doubled as well. So modules and components got doubled, and then the range of vouchers went from 4 at the minimum to 30. So a massive increase to the amount of the vouchers that you get from clearing the Void Abyss, which is great. And then the very rare but can happen chance where you get a large amount of vouchers, like there's an RNG chance that you get more than the baseline. Before, you pretty much had to expect to farm it for 4 to drop. Every now and then you would get over 100 to just drop. Now that goes up to 800, so you could very easily get like a full skin or multiple full skins from this as well. So they greatly increased the farm on this. And this is kind of one of the things, like my biggest gripes about Void Abyss has been that the motivation to do the Void Abyss is so low because the reward was so bad before. It just took like so many, I mean, you're talking about like on average, like 70 runs for a single skin for 1 Descendant. So I have to pick which Descendant gets that skin. And in my honest opinion, most of the Void Abyss skins so far have been very subpar or below par, like just very weak. Like the Defiler one was cool, but I thought the Tormentor and the Infernal Fortress, whatever, was very weird. Like there's very weird looking skins. So they're making a change for that. So not only are we getting more vouchers, which is really good, but they're also going to give options for things that you can buy with the vouchers. So Precision Ion Accelerator, Nano Compounds, Quantum Crystals, Kuiper Shards, Ion Accelerators, Quantum Incubators, Void Abyss Metal Fragments, and Gold. So it's not like the most important things in the game, but if you get extra vouchers, you can convert it to things that help you grind. I think most people will probably want the skins anyway, considering that everything on this list can be farmed easily in other areas of the game. But I guess if you have other vouchers and you don't want to get a skin or a back attachment, you can then get some gameplay related items with the vouchers you're farming. And this is the director's comments. The styles of Void Abyss intercept battle that ends in under 1 second that they don't like. They did the playtime was adjusted in consideration of the extremely short battle duration that prevented strategic gameplays. So by adding more HP and shield by default, they make the fight they added about 14 seconds to the fight. So it used to be a 1 second clear for Tormentor. Now it's like a 15 second clear for the Ice Maiden. So they did make it longer, it seems, until people get more optimized builds for fighting her. So they wanted to make some adjustments there. We heard your opinion of the low multiplayer battle efficiency and adjust the scaling. So they made the base bigger, but adjust the scaling so that it's a little bit easier for groups to take out and a little bit harder for the solo players to complete as well. We expect our players to enjoy faster and more meaningful gameplay experiences in multiplayer modes and slower in solo. We adjust the reward efficiency frequency because the duration will increase. So they made the fight a little bit longer, and that's why they're increasing the amount of vouchers that we get because of it. Next, they finally added the recruiter or the party finder system. So this will help a lot of people connect if they're looking to do things. Hopefully this gets more people to group up for the Void Abyss as well. So your options here is you go to find the party system, you want to go to the social tab or the social subcategory. You can go to map or social or quest or library or journal, and then go to the party tab in the top right corner at the far end. Then you can set your recruit a party features. You can set a minimum mastery rank level. So you can set this to like 1 if you don't care who joins. And then you can set like the targets you're looking for, right? So you can remove these, and you can like say, hey, I only want Kyle, SEMO, Enzo, and Jaber. That's the best party in the game. No one else, only these guys. That's it. So that's level 1 and the dudes. Then you can set tags of what you're looking for the party finder. So you're trying to collect weapons, or maybe you're trying to get like specific weapons or something like that. There's like targets that you're trying to farm or trying to connect with, right? You want to like, I'm trying to farm these weapons here and a dog, and that's what I'm looking for. There's specific materials you're after, void erosion, void abyss. Like if you're trying to do, so you come over here and take this off and you say, hey, I want to do the new Void Abyss Maiden. You can even put 1, I think, if you wanted to, just to be able to set that. So you can actually save that as your option. So that gives that there. And then you can also like set settings as well by language, region, and how what the overall ping is going to be. So like no limit on ping, or prioritize ping over everything else based on region and that sort of thing. So if you're trying to do Void Abyss with only guys with level 1 mastery minimum, you can set that up. And there are actually there's a lit here of the ones you can join. You can also do a quick join option as well. So you can just like check to see the ones that are here. So this guy is mastery 19, trying to do Void Abyss. He's playing Ultimate Ajax, and he wants other people to be able to join with that as well. So just be able to click on one of these, and it'll automatically load you into their party, and then you can be on your way. And someone in my chat just brought up a good point as well, is that when we have the 8-man Colossi fight coming, the wall crasher coming in season 3, I think this system would be quite needed. But hopefully they don't have to expand this, because this is like built for 4 right now, and they're already adding an 8-player encounter in a matter of like a month or 2. So they're going to have to retrofit it for that. But this is kind of a cool addition to get people to come together. Now, as it stands right now, you can set a minimum mastery level for this. I think on paper, this is just to make sure that everyone that joins the party is able to do the content. Like, for example, Void Abyss, you need to be at least mastery 18 to complete it. So that is there. Hopefully this doesn't turn into like some rampant gatekeeping. Like I said, like some activities require a specific mastery level. So you obviously wouldn't want like a mastery 2 joining a party for Void Abyss, because they wouldn't be able to do the activity. Like they can't join up for it. But this could also very easily turn into some massive gatekeeping, where I say you have to have everything in the game maxed out and be level 29 to join my party, otherwise I don't want you, which is something that does happen quite a lot. Additionally, they have added multi-hit chance and multi-hit damage as reroll options on your weapons as well. So if you go down here to the bottom, you can see that there are multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage. I think this will probably have an effect maybe on some of the weapon builds. It's going to depend on the build itself, because a lot of these bonuses are so massive, and you get your multi-hit chance from other places, that it may be hard. Like replacing firearm attack or bonus to Colossus, I think is going to be like, those are tough sells. And then whether you have crit or not is definitely there. But they have multi-hit chance for a lot of the multi-hit weapon builds to rule that on the weapon if you choose. They also added a new reward. So they're for leaderboards on the Void Erosion Purge. So they added ranking rewards to the Void Erosion Purge Challenge leaderboard. Rewards will be mailed when the season ends, when leaderboard resets based on your rank at the end, right when it resets. So you kind of have to just be on top of it and then score at the end by the end of the reset there. You will need to reconnect to the game to receive the mail, as mails are sent sequentially. The rewards are if you're first to 100th place in all platform combined solo for the challenge Void Erosion Purge. So basically top 100 global all platforms, you get a Ingris Prime Challenger medal. So you get a medal that you can place next to your name for being a leaderboard gamer. And then you get to use that until the season the end of that season episode, and they have to earn a new one, maybe? The solo tally of the rankers are aggregated for each descendant. If you have multiple descendants placed in the reward eligible rankings, you'll receive the reward for the highest ranked descendant. So if you have multiple, it'll take the highest. Honestly, this is kind of cool. I think this gives people a reason to make builds and push the Void Erosion Purge and try to get through the challenge leaderboard. And it looks like the rewards are only for solo, not for group, which is kind of weird. Unless maybe they're just saying that if first 100 and all in combined solo rankings, I guess they're not doing multi-squad. There are people that run giga squads. You can see that they're all Serenas, or sometimes they have a buffer in the party. Yo, is that a Jayber? Number 5 for 4-player squad, Challenge Void Erosion has a Jayber. You heard it here first, folks. You can even see the reward as well. If you go to the Void Erosion Purge Challenge screen, at the bottom you have ranking reward. If you get this, you'll see this is the betel. It's got a nice mix of color. It's adorned by silver on the outside, bright orange in the middle, and it is a limited time. So as long as you rank 1 to 100, you get this and get to use it, which is super cool. They also added in the, I guess you could call it controversial, but the inspect system that allows people to inspect builds. We can pick a random person to just be my victim for the moment. Walk up to them and you can inspect them. If you go to view descendant, you can see basically everything about them. You can see the weapons they're using, the modules they have on that weapon. You can see the cores they have equipped on that weapon. You can see what descendant they're using, all of their mods they have with that as well, their reactor, and all of their external components with their current stats on them as well. It looks like arcade tuning is listed here, but I'm not able to click on it at the making of this video. So you can actually see that. And of course you can see their customization options as well. Clicking on the skin tells you the paints that they have chosen, their attachments and all of that, and then their like hair color, that sort of thing. So you have all of those there. It looks like this might be added in a future update, unless I'm just denting. I'm not sure how to use this. It just says arcade tuning in the corner and you can't click on it, but everything else is here, so you can inspect other players. However, unfortunately, it seems like you can't look at the leaderboards for this. So if we go to the journal leaderboard, you can actually see that these are listed here, but it doesn't look like you can actually like view their inspect on the leaderboard, which honestly, I felt like the leaderboards were far more important for the inspect feature than like inspecting randoms, because I feel like the leaderboards is going to be far less likely to cause griefing if you could just inspect the people that are at the top rather than just inspecting people that are in your party or are walking around. But I think it's a net positive for the game, despite whatever issues we may run into with like griefing or gatekeeping and that sort of thing. Next, they added in a conversion system for cores, which is quite nice. So if you go here and you go to craft and convert cores, so normally where you craft cores, you can go to core conversion and convert cores into other cores. The conversion process is a 1 to 3, which means that in order to get one of the core you're trying to convert, you need to consume 3 cores to create that core. They also have another restriction in that they must be the same level. So it looks like, I mean, I'm only able to do 10 here, like 10 to 10. It doesn't look like I can do others. I guess you could craft your cores up to that level and then come here and convert these, but I have no way to do anything but 10 on this. So we can go to 10 on yellow, and then you need to choose some cores that will allow you to do this. You see, I actually don't have 3 of a kind in order to get what we want for this number here. So you can change this about, and this will like mathematically figure out which cores. It looks like it just pulls from left to right on these. So you can kind of select these and you can figure out how many you want to make. So it'll consume 3 10s of other kinds to make 1 10 of the kind you're making. And honestly, it's not like the most robust system, but it is nice to have it because it means that when you farm a bunch and you have way too many of these purple cores that no one uses, you can then go ahead and like combine and get some different cores that way, which is a step in the right direction. Additionally, they added in the ability to save your inversion reinforcement to your build as well. So now they added in the fellow, they added in the customization. Now we have the inversion reinforcement. Finally, this was a feature introduced in the beginning of season 1, but now that we're able to get it, this is great because honestly, I forget to change it all the time. Like there's so many times where I'm just like, I switch to my preset, I go over what I'm looking for and I forget about inversion and I just miss the buffs that are here. And it's not like these are game breaking in any way, but they do make a difference in many cases, like cooldown or movement speed, or most specifically malevolent. Like running a malevolent build without the malevolent bonus is kind of rough. But now that we have these as part of the preset, that's super nice. They also updated the 2 special ops in rotation right now for hard mode. So go to special ops and go to hard. It is now going to be Kingston and Sterile Land. Unfortunately, we're missing missing out on Fortress, I think one of the best ones, but you could probably do hard special op of Kingston if you wanted to farm levels, though the normal one will probably just be better clear time in general, especially if you're doing a party for that. So that's going to be that there. But those did rotate. They updated the shop to include the new skin as well, and they renamed some of the categories to be a little bit clearer. So concept skins has become themed skins. You'll be able to see this here. And the newest skin that was added is the Gilded Death Blossom for all the females in the game if you wanted to. So you can kind of click through this. Like I said, it's more of like old school cheap pow with some like tech wear vibes to it as well. So if you wanted to click through that, that is there. And it does come with a Misty Spawn emote, which has this little like you're smoking a little age appropriate burnable thing, and then you have a crescent moon of Sieve, so go over the head with that little crescent moon, so it kind of fits the whole Gilded Death Blossom style that goes along with that too. And they also added in some new growth packs that I think are a little bit more meaningful compared to the other ones, and they also have the growth packs that will include the quantum, the dimension analyzers, which is super important. You can also buy one that gives you a core binder, core particle disruptor, and core amplifier if you wanted to buy these. If you are a brand new player, I would recommend staying away from this tab for the rest of your TFD life, mainly because a lot of the cosmetics cannot be earned in game and they are quite expensive relative to other games, and so I wouldn't really spend any money on this. But if you have the disposable income and you do, like, maybe you just want to get a weapon core real quick unlocked, like unlocked for your character, or you just want to be able to roll more from that, or maybe you just really need some dimension analyzers because you haven't been running Void Vessel and you want to upgrade one of your reactors, you can grab that. But these are in the store now as well. Next, for the bosses that are in the damaged zone arena that has the lava on the ground, they've changed it. It used to be that if you kill the boss in the lava, it'll find a suitable place nearby to spawn the reconstructed device. However, now it seems that it spawns it in the lava because a long time ago they made the change where if you're standing in the lava and the boss is dead, it doesn't damage you anymore. So I guess now we'll be able to get this for like Dead Bride, Swamp Walker, and Pyromaniac. If they die in the lava, which is pretty likely if you have a good build, then it'll just have this in the lava instead. Next, they made some changes to the Void Vessel. This is like the previous, like the Inez introduction. So they actually made it so for normal mode, the rewards are a little bit better and the mobs are a little bit weaker, so that people that are just jumping into Void Vessel for the first time, they're gonna make it easier for those folks to be able to deal with it. They also made it for across Void Vessel in general. The boxes that you open with the decryption keys will on average drop more of the material they're dropping, specifically for the lectin acceptors, the adapted proteins, and the ionized metals went up by double the amount that they were before, so you don't have to do as many Void Vessels if that's what you're looking to farm. They also increased the drop chance for the upgrades for your puppies. So Fortified Supplement Blueprint went from 25% to 45%, so a 20% increase in drop rate, a 2.5% drop rate increase for the special, and a 0.5% drop rate increase for the ultimate protein, which almost no one ever gets. And they also changed it so that the commander and the Void Vessel can also drop the new Moving Fortress set. So if you don't want to do the Abyss boss that drops that, you can just do Void Vessels instead. Next, they increased the rewards for completing Sigma sectors. So you're going to be farming a lot more Sigma, but they did add quantum crystals to the normal difficulty, and for high risk, they added nano compounds and more quantum crystals, double the amount. And then for killing the commander, you get at least 10,000 up to 20,000 quantum crystals for clearing him as well. And they added a low chance to obtain 10,000 up to 200,000 bonus. So just like the Void Abyss, they added a chance to get a lot more quantum crystals for that as well. Now they increased the drop rate of materials and equipment for normal difficulty dungeons, the infiltration operations, which is just nice for new players. But the big takeaway from this for every player really is they increased the amount of Void Abyss fragments that can be obtained by completing a 400% infiltration operation from 40 to 150. This is because you can get a lot more from doing the Abyss, and that's the operation there. But I think in general 40 was just crazy low for what you needed to farm, and weapon cores are kind of old comparatively, so they're just increasing this amount, which means 400%. You run those, you get 150 of the void the void fragments that you need for that. So you'll be able to get a lot more from the 400%, which are already a good source of other things that you can get in the game. Next, they added an upper limit to Serena's HP scaling mechanic. Added a maximum limit to additional firearm damage proportional to max HP from Redemption's Judgment of Serena. When Serena's max HP is 39,000, the additional damage is increased to a maximum of 312%. Above that, the additional damage is capped at 312. So if you have 39,000 HP on Serena, that's the maximum benefit you're going to get. This is one of the reason, if not the most important reason, as to why Serena has been busted for so long, is because on top of her amazing kit and all the other bloated mechanics that are in it, she also can get bonus damage by adding HP. So that extra HP scaling is what pushed her over the edge. They added a new medal that you get for owning Descendants that have assigned module socket types 8 times, a new medal for that. And they changed the medal that requires you to get certain records to 129. I really hope they go in and change the medal that is the amount of Descendants owned. This one I think is one of the worst representations of their system. Anyone who plays the First Descendant knows that you get your Descendant count, and then when you get the ultimate version, you dismiss the normal version because there's no reason to have duplicates of every Descendant. However, the medals and the achievement system says you have to own every Descendant in the game, including the normal and ultimate version, and you can't dismiss them to get that reward. So technically, there's 19 Descendants in the game right now if you remove the duplicates. However, there are 28 if you keep the duplicates, and the medal and the achievement requires you to have all Descendants maxed, or all Descendants like crafted and held, including duplicates, which I think is really dumb. I don't think you should ever incentivize players to keep the duplicates and say that you have to buy slots to make extra room for duplicates in a game where the duplicate is just objectively worse than the ultimate version. So there's no real reason to hold on to the other ones. Additionally, this is kind of interesting. They added a new feature that was requested when the game first came out, so last summer. Basically, when you load into Albion, you will have a default spawn location to this spawn here. And their whole flow was built around you landing, seeing other Descendants as you land, right? You land down and you're surrounded by everyone else. Everyone has the same spawn location. You can see it. They very obviously put it at an angle for a reason, but also there's like this search info thing that has like the events in it. So you can log in, check your events if you don't want to hit escape, and you can go through that whole process. However, they now changed it so you can set a default spawn location in Albion. So you notice how this spawn here has a little bit of a blue-green gradient to it, and the spawn over here is all green. I can set this to be my default location now, and if I were to reopen the map and go back to Albion, you'll notice that this one now has the blue-green. So if you were to teleport elsewhere and come back to Albion, it will then spawn over here instead. So if you wanted to, you can be near the crafting materials and the modules, since a lot of this stuff is accessible through main menus as well. They initially said they would never do this, and I remember people that suggested this were laughed at the beginning of the game, just because everyone was like, well, yeah, it's not that much of a walk, stop being a baby, and keeping everyone in one spot makes the game feel more alive, but they just added as a feature. So if you wanted to just spawn over here near ETA 0 and the crafting and research, you can now. Another minor change is they sorted the end of sale skins to the bottom of the list by default. So all the ones that you can no longer purchase because they're end of sale, they will be sorted to the bottom of the list, even under the default versions of the character you don't currently have. So they'll be there, and of course you can view them separately, or they'll just be out of your way, but that way you don't end up being shown skins that you can't currently unlock. Next is a great change that I didn't even realize that I just kind of gotten used to. So previously, if you were to go and look for the acquisition info for an item, so say we're on a weapon here, we go to one of the blueprints and we bring this up. I'm pretty sure they just added this, so it shows you how many of that amorphous you have without having to click on it. I'm pretty sure you had to click on this, then you could see how many you had by seeing here. I always looked up here in the top corner. You look at the amorphous and you see how many you have, so you have that there. Now they show it on here as well, so you can see right away that I have some of these amorphous to get this item if I need to. The other thing that I just been doing manually in my head all the time that they added a feature for is if it wasn't an actual Colossus that you're fighting for, if it was a Void Fusion Reactor, they didn't show you anything on that in general. So you would have to get a specific thing. And so what I normally would do is I would say, okay, this is White Knight Gulch Hatchery. So I would remember the name, and then I would open my global map and go to it to find it. However, they added a new menu that allows you to, when you click on it, it, it shows you how many you have, but also shows you the locations that drop it. So if you wanted to, you could, get this amorphous material by either doing the outpost or the biolab. So you'll be able to get that, and it takes you to the reactor when you click it. I'm not sure if it did this already before. So you can click on this, it'll take you there, but it shows the count on this menu here before you drill down into a sub menu, and it shows you where the reactor is when you click on it, and it shows you where you get the amorphous material if you're looking for more. So you actually click and say, oh, this drops from the biolab on normal, and it looks like it does take the correct difficulty for that as well. So you can go clear that, or you can go to where you open it, or you can see on the previous menu how many you have. Super nice quality of life. Another small but appreciated change they made to the game with this patch is that grappling hooks can go through other players now. So if you see another player, you can grapple right through them and nothing happens. So like you grapple, let's see if we can try to grapple behind her. Yeah, so you can just shoot behind them. The grapple goes through them now. You still have the collision, which is kind of a pain, but being able to grapple through players is a nice change. They also updated the maximum carry capacity for the qualified certified ETA vouchers from 600 to 1500. Partially because you can get up to 800 in one go with a special drop in the Void Abyss against the Ice Maiden, but also just kind of helps you stockpile these a little bit better. So now this is maximum 1500. And as we load into a different spawn point in Albion, that is the new patch today. So a lot to farm, a lot of Sigma sector needed to get all of the new mutant cells. But let me know what you think about all the new systems changes and updates here, and also just what you're looking forward to in the future. This patch had a whole bunch of wide style content coming into it. I'm stuck, I can't move. Okay, I'm the dog now. But let me know what you think about the patch down below in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.